Yes, my name is Nonima Tikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about the Senzo case and particularly the Hostel Bride story. Oh my God, it's collapsing on national television, on real time, Sanalam Kunzim. And from the very beginning of the case, the evidence in the Senzo murder trial has been deeply, fundamentally problematic because the star witness of the state case, the Section 204, Constable Zungu, is the one that came up with a story in 2023. It was 2023, end of August, towards up to September, when he took the stand and told South Africa that now he knows who shot and killed Senzo. And he detailed his story of how he went to a braai in the hostel, Basutwini hostel, blah, blah. Yeah, guys, you know all that nonsense that man was saying. Constable Sizwe Sikhumbuzo Zonke. You know all of that. But as of the late December, is it November or December? From November, December 2025, then now, January 2025, we are hearing something far more dangerous than his very own stupid evidence. We are hearing that it is not just weak evidence of the state case. Okay, I said when I started, it was fundamentally problematic from the very beginning. Ne? Deeply. It has been deeply, fundamentally problematic. Not just weak, not just incomplete, but structurally unsound. And that problem came with who? With Constable Zungu. I'm not referring to any of the other witnesses, but Zungu is the core problem here. Constable Zungu, core problem. We are not dealing with a clean investigation that went cold here. No, that's not what we are doing. We are dealing with a contaminated crime scene, delayed handling of key exhibits and versions of events that keep shifting over time with no independent corroboration. And now we are dealing with Constable Zungu's evidence. And oh my God, oh my God, oh my goodness. The so-called hostel bride narrative, the state's latest attempt to anchor its case, it's collapsing under scrutiny right here, right now. Not because of social media. No, we have nothing to do with that. Not because of conspiracy theories. Nope. But because of sworn testimony, legal standards, and basic logic. Let's break that down. Let's break it down. A contaminated foundation of the case. From day one, the investigation into the Senzo Meyiwa murder violated the most basic rules of forensic integrity. The crime scene was compromised, access was not properly controlled, key exhibits were handled late, some much later, without a clean chain of custody. That alone already weakens any serious prosecution. That happened in 2014, right? Already that was problematic then. Because in law, evidence is not just about what you claim happened. It's about how reliable you can prove it. And here, reliability is already broken, done. When evidence is delayed, contaminated, or loosely handled, it creates room of doubt. And in criminal law, doubt is not a small thing. Doubt is everything. Doubt is everything. Now let's check the shifting versions, no corroboration whatsoever. Because even the people that were inside the house, they can corroborate each other. Even Constable Zungu, who claims he saw what happened or he saw the accused planning and doing whatever, no one is corroborating him. Now add this on that. The state's narrative has not remained consistent at all. It has never. Versions of what allegedly happened have changed over time. Timelines have shifted. Key details have been added, removed, or quietly adjusted. And we were here as South Africans. We were here. We watched all of that happen. And most importantly, there is no independent corroboration for the central claims. Nix, ubed. No neutral witness, no forensic anchor, no objective evidence tying the hostile bride story to the Senzo Meyiwa murder. Nothing. What we have instead is testimony layered on top of testimony, much of it coming from witnesses whose own credibility is in question. That is not how strong cases are built. That is how fragile stories collapse, because this is fragile. Now on to the hostile bride narrative that they built. This is the heart of the state's problem. This so-called hostile bride theory relies on unnamed witnesses, shifting timelines, hearsay style versions, and testimony that keeps evolving. What is that? And yet there is a judge that is 56 years experience this year. He keeps reminding about his 55 years experience. Ne? This year, 56 years. And then there is a prosecutor, I guess, plus minus 30 years experience. And this is what we are dealing with. But who exactly was there? Who exactly had what? When exactly did it happen? The answers are not stable. They change depending on the witness. They change depending on the day. They change depending on who is under pressure in the witness box. That is not corroboration. That is reconstruction. They can't tell us the people that were inside the house, they will tell us a different story or different versions, but they witnessed the same crime. It can't happen like that, never. It can't. Now, direct contradictions under oath. Here is where the story truly starts to fall apart. Defense witnesses have now directly contradicted the hostile bride version under oath. Not casually, not vaguely, not clear, but clearly and firmly, there was no bride. They have denied the existence of the alleged bride. They alleged planning conversation, the presence of the key people, which is the accused, the timelines being pushed by the state, the year, the date, the time, the month, everything. They are disputing all of that. And that matters. That matters. They say there was no 2014. Constable Zongo is simply lying. Because in South African law, cross-examination is not evidence. I think I did a video about that. You don't win a case by proving it with credible, independent evidence. You don't do that. You don't win a case by asserting something loudly. You don't do. You can't. You just can't do. You cannot do that. When a defense witness maintains their version under oath, their credibility must be displaced by counter evidence, not speculation, not pressure, not narrative. And right now, the counter evidence does not exist. There is nothing, absolutely nothing. A case built on assertion, not proof, is not a case. This is what we are really watching unfold. The state is not proving its case beyond reasonable doubt. It's not. It is asserting a story and hoping the court accepts it. Njani? Kanjani san. But criminal law does not work on vibes. It works on evidence. You cannot secure convictions on unnamed witnesses, shifting versions, contaminated forensic foundations, delayed exhibits, contradicted timelines, uncorroborated narratives. That is not justice. That is institutional gambling. They are just gambling. Do you know what's so sad? People are busy gambling with their own careers. That is what's so sad about the entire situation. Not only about their own careers, they are also gambling about their institutions, NPA, SEPS, judiciary. It's a gamble. And why this matters for justice is because this trial is not just about narrative collapsing, one narrative collapsing. It is about the credibility of the entire prosecution. If the hostile bride story falls, then the state loses one of its central narrative anchors. And once the anchor is gone, the rest of the case starts drifting because everything else depends on that planning theory to make sense. It needs to make sense. So now when it's not making sense, and right now it doesn't, what's going to happen? What's going to happen now that it doesn't? And the uncomfortable truth about this entire situation is that no one wants to say out loud is the state does not currently have a coherent, corroborated, forensically grounded theory of this crime. They don't. Oh, Jesus, they do not have. The state does not currently have a coherent, corroborated, forensically grounded theory of this crime. It has collection of stories. It has a series of witnesses. It has evolving versions. It has pressure. It has expectations, but it does not yet have proof. And in a murder trial, that is very dangerous. It's fatal. That's a fatal shot. And now in conclusion for this video, then I go to bed. The time now is 00:06, so it's the following day. The hostile Braai narrative is collapsing, not because people want it to collapse. No, that's not the reason. That is absolutely not the reason it's collapsing. It is collapsing because it cannot survive legal scrutiny. That's why. It is built on unnamed witnesses. It relies on shifting timelines. It has no independent corroboration, and it is now been directly contradicted by defense witnesses under oath. When you combine that with the contaminated crime scene, delayed exhibits, and evolving versions, you don't get justice. You get doubt. And in criminal law, doubt means acquittal. This is not a prosecution moving forward. This is a prosecution unraveling on daytime TV. This is how sad the entire situation has become. It is bad, guys. It is so bad. I don't know who has what to say, but all I'm saying is that there is no way they are going to survive this. I am waiting to see Ujadrata. How is he going to find the guys guilty on this mess? Because this is a hot mess, guys. What a hot mess. How is he going to handle this? Let me drink before we finalize this. How is Jadrata supposed to, like, he's dealing with a lot also, Shem. I can imagine what's going on. No wonder he is always having outbursts because there's a lot happening in his head. One thing that, okay, I'll do a separate video about that one as well. Jadrata, guys, he is something else. Honestly, he is something else. He will aka you. He will aka you. What are your thoughts when it comes to all of these guys? What do you think about Baloyi, the case, Gininda? How are they interlinked? How are they interlinked? How did they come up with this? Who came up with this idea? At this point, I want them to arrest Mokgane so that he can sing and tell us what happened. Because Mokgane just wants money. He was not involved in beating people and doing whatever. That's why he was like, yo, guys. Anyway, what are your thoughts when it comes to all of this? I'll see you on our next video. Please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment. And most importantly, please make sure you are subscribed on the channel. Thank you so much. I will see you on our next video. Bye-bye.